let's talk a little bit about the overall innovation from VMware. I mean, Broadcom has gone through and they've bought. This isn't their first technology acquisition. I'll put it that way. They've had a number of technology acquisitions over the years. Some of those technology acquisitions maybe have seemingly been more financial models than necessarily innovation drivers. What is your overall perception about Broadcom and their forward-looking advancement of the technology and moving to this cloud and SaaS infrastructure? You think it's an acquisition that's going to drive innovation looking forward?
I mean, that's hard to say, Christian. We'd have to have our crystal ball. Certainly, Broadcom has got a history of their acquisitions and what they've done with them, and they do like to monetize. I think they've even announced, with some of their filings with Wall Street, that they're looking to grow revenues from VMware from about, I think it's about $4.5 billion to about 8.4 billion over the next 3 years. So there is an expectation that they're going to be able to monetize this acquisition. Here's the deal. VMware today, it's still probably the best alternative out there for a majority of workloads. So does that mean it will be 3 years from now? Who knows? Certainly with this acquisition, we do expect that there's going to be some competitors that may start to work their way back into the server virtualization infrastructure play. So again, Hyper-V, Microsoft hasn't done any updates on that for years, but they are talking about doing some updates. They've also got their hyper-converged solution, their Azure stack that they're working on. We're seeing stuff with Zen. Used to be a fairly big play with Citrix, that Citrix is allowed to go back to open source. And there's talk that they're going to bring that back in and start doing some development with that. Obviously, Nutanix has had a hypervisor offering out there. It's kind of tied to their HCI stack, their software-defined storage stack. But they could be releasing that hypervisor as a standalone product. So it's hard to say what's going to happen in the future. But today, the reality is VMware's the 800-pound gorilla. It's got a great feature set. It works for most workloads. It's got a great ecosystem around it, and so you have to do your planning today based on that.
It's a great point that you brought up. You talk about the ecosystem around it, right? And most customers today operate a great number of production workloads on VMware. Simply moving off of VMware could have a negative impact to the overall application, to the application's supportability in the future from a third-party manufacturer. There are a number of considerations when you start thinking about, what are my options moving forward?
Absolutely. And certainly if you're looking to just straight kick the can and move to another hypervisor, there's obviously components of the ecosystem. There's hardware support. There's application support around your solution. There's compliance. There's compliance things that you need to. Some workloads may need a certain security accreditation that may not be available with certain hypervisor platforms. You've got your operations, your backup and recovery, your monitoring. All that stuff changes when you start jumping hypervisors. Disaster recovery. How are you going to handle incident response? How are you going to handle long-term support? Say you're going with an open source solution. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're looking to just swap out a hypervisor that takes some planning.
Absolutely.